to another episode of Femme Queen Crazy.
Sexy.
Cool.
What's going on, ladies?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
You've been waiting, huh?
Well, today I'm excited though because we're bringing on another podcast. Surface Level is in the building.
Yeah, shout out.
That's going to be fun. This will be a fun episode.
It is. Very grown and sexy. This is
Okay.
giving like very grown and sexy
I'm
today.
excited. I'm excited. I really am. Just to see the contrast and just to flourish the conversation more and show people what it looks like to hold space together.
Yeah. Well, can we get some Prosecco, please?
This game.
For the 8,000, for the 8K.
For the 8K.
Yes, for the 8K. We love you.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone.
Remember, like and subscribe.
Okay.
Keep following.
Yes, y'all doing y'all big one out there, bitch. The comments now.
Oh, no.
Oh, my
I'll be
God.
trying
To the
read
top.
I be trying not to read you because, bitch.
No, for her to
There
the
be
top.
one out there that I'll be ready to
Don't be
let have
stingy.
it.
And
bitch.
it's always like a consistent one.
But I only usually get like one negative.
Yeah, whatever. They don't see
Probably
it.
Tabytha's friend.
No, that's just why.
Well, let's toast to this. Can we-
Whatever. Your friends don't like me much. They said on this one they was given Team Tempress. So this is for Tempress to the 8K followers. Thank you.
Yes.
Mm.
We love y'all.
Shout out to my girl for putting me onto Prosecco.
Okay.
Yes.
Grown and sexy.
How was the weekend?
This week was kind of tough though for me. So I went out to the ball. I went out to the Alpha Mega Ball, and I went out every night, like Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I felt like at OTA, it was so dark in there. It was just not the lighting, but the energy, the space was so dark. And I was like, after like an hour, I was judging for like an hour, and then I just ran home, literally, to the point like my house is like, hey, we go walk you to the car. I was just like, no, I'm already in the Uber, baby. I was just paying. And it wasn't like negative and from them or just from people. I just felt like I'm not in that space no more. Like I don't want to be, like I told myself, coming back into ballroom, me and I've been in ballroom since I was like 14 years old. I said, coming back into this space, I want to give 50% here and give a lot of time to my own personal life and things that I want to do for myself. Being that I've been in ballroom for so long, I want to make sure that I give myself that space to create and do the things that I've been missing on for years. So that night I went home crying, just praying to God, like just reminding myself of what I need to do, the things I need to accomplish. And yeah, it was
how is
kind
that
of
going to work out? You just accepting an overall mother position?
So being me and Al already had that conversation of I'm also going to be focusing on my own life as well. And just because I'm an overall mother of a house doesn't mean that I need to be at every ball, at every event, or at every situation. I'm not going to do that. I can't. It's other things that I want to do in my life, other things I want to accomplish, and I'm going to do that. I told myself coming back into this space, I'm going to do that.
So that brings me to the post that I made that is just getting all of these comments and all these shares. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess people agree. And I know, Asia, we was about to have a conversation about it, and I stopped you because I was like, well, let's talk about it on the air, because you said there were some things that you agree with and some things that you didn't. But however, the post was about parents in the scene, that what happened to the nurturing aspect. Like, a lot of people are just going for the numbers and the, like, who can win a trophy. But what happened to giving and people say there aren't kids in the scene, but I went to a ball and, bitch, it was a lot of kids. Like, so you can't say that there's not no more kids in the scene, because that's not true. And there's some adults who need nurturing too. And I also said, what about giving them a safe space where they could come if they have like issues, and know that they could come to you and it's going to stay with you and you can talk them through things, because you shouldn't only want them to thrive in ballroom, but in their outside life as well. And I feel like, you know, people feel like I have an outdated mindset because when I came in ballroom, that's what it was about. Like, bitch, my family, we was a family. And I think me going to other houses, I was always looking for that thing that we had in the beginning. So that's where I was coming from with that pose.
I mean, it definitely resonates with me. And when I read it, it hit so hard because we see it is a lot of children in ballroom. And then we have this mindset that, you know, people have even moved away from saying family or house to we're organization or using other language that kind of others the essence of ballroom in a sense and makes it feel outdated. But I've always been one to nurture, like a lot of people call me, right? And a lot of people do talk to me because some of us will provide that space. And there are some identifying people who will open up for that, right? But when they don't have a lot of it, it can cause harm. Like I've seen kids have complete blowouts after a ball and then need a lot of assistance and no one is there to triage that and they don't feel safe saying that. So now I'll see them at the, you know, going to the organizations, getting the other resources that they need, which is great. But I think that if we prepare them more for like what ballroom is for, and we start to provide those other things, yes, we know it's a competition. Yes, you know it's only one winner. But what happens when the doors of the ball close and the kids go back home? What happens then? Do you walk away from them? How about a check-in? You know, are you there for them? And it's like they can feel when it's not there. And then this is where a lot of the I'm going to do it my way because no one's giving it to me, so I'm going to give it. And then sometimes they try to give it to others, and they don't know because they haven't received it. And some of the leaders who we look to as leaders don't know what that feels like. They didn't receive it. So it's just like finding ways to work through this, but also getting back to the basics of when we loved each other, when we nurtured each other. And that's just how I feel about it. So that resonated with me so much because I see a lot of kids that need help.
I think being that I came out at the end of that era, I feel like for me, I believe in both. I believe that the community should hold a space for both. Because even the things I used to hear from my elders in ballroom, you know, they say love, but that's not the type of love I would have wanted from my parents. The type of things that they were teaching you. Yeah, they were checking on you because you were staying with them, but they also were abusing you. They was giving you drugs. They was having sex in the next room. They was putting you around things that weren't great for your mindset in that space anyway. Like there was no boundaries. So I think there's room for both. I think I wouldn't want to go back. I would want to go forward with love that our elders, some of them had in teaching that, but I think that has to come organically. Like, you know, it's not a lot of I'm gonna use the reference from Pose. There's not a lot of what's the mother of there's not a lot of Blanca. It's not a lot of Blancas, but there are a lot of Tyras. Electra.
Just don't try my sister like that.
And I'm saying that to say I'm saying that to say that, and I'm not just talking about women in the scene. I'm talking about just overall leaders. Is overall leaders. Like I believe that our leaders should have grown.
Another thing when we say that, and people always think that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Like when we say things like it's not geared towards us, because if you notice, a lot of leadership are definitely no longer the woman. Right? So we can't continue to blame the girls and expect for us to carry so much more than what you signed up for. Like, so if you're saying that you're a leader and you're saying that you're a father, then you need to step up and be that father.
Do you
and
think
not
that,
assume.
But why do you need to? Why do you need to? No, I don't think so.
But see, here's the thing.
No, because everyone doesn't have that ability to be that. Like,
then don't be a parent.
Well, then we wouldn't have a ballroom scene.
That's not true.
We would. Who like
realistic? A lot of people go for a look. Instead of,
sometimes you need.
That's part of the problem.
Because see, my thing is like realistically, we keep saying that's part of the problem. We say things like that's part of the problem where we don't have enough leaders, or you should have this qualification. That's something that we haven't. A lot of people on the scene are hurt people. They don't have that. So are you going to throw them away? Are you saying that they shouldn't be here? Teach them. Who's teaching them?
Not throw them away.
So
but have the right
I'm
people
confused.
to teach them so that they can teach them
I
to
get
be
what
the
you're
next
saying,
leaders.
right. And then there's like there's a collaborative effort that is currently happening within ballroom with these conferences and stuff, trying to initiate leaders that will actually probably try to fill in those gaps, right? But
I feel like there's no honest conversations. No one's holding each other
have them, but,
accountable.
like,
but my thing
What
is
about
because-
accountability? What about
so
those
here's the
honest
thing.
conversations? Kelly literally sat on our couch and admitted numerous of things. She said I walked around with a trophy knowing that damn well I didn't deserve to sit her down. That's an icon. That's a leader.
I mean, I get what you mean, and
that wasn't her fault.
It's not her fault, but
But
she
this
also
is the
admitted to
culture.
having websites of different people in our community on them. This is like how, if I was a child, how can I trust her as a mother? Realistically, I think we all, like I always say, y'all like to beat me up. We need to go heal. I think healing is very important. I think accountability is very important with our community. We want to give. I do think we should. I think it should be room for both. If I had a house and I want you to come here because I think you're beautiful to be our mother, just a showpiece, I would do that. But I also wouldn't.
People there.
Of course, there's going to be people there for me. You have to make it a safe space. Like even with this house of law that I decided to come to, I didn't just come here because it was great, man. It was normally one here. It's because I want to be a part of a safe space. And I want to continue to build a safe space. I don't want just people worried about ball. Most of the men in my house are well-established men. They have great careers. They're older. They smell good. They live a great life. And that's the type of men that's the type of people I want to be around. Like the young generation to be around. I want them to see that. I want them to see that you can be different. You don't have to be the same.
So in that essence, right, as you're saying, these men are there for you, right? And we use that term loosely. So when you say that they're doing their own thing, right? Because we've talked about this. Does that mean they're are they actively with you, supportive of you as you're creating this? Are they there for that?
I have those. Yes, we have those kind of conversations, and it's because it's so small that we're able to have those honest conversations, and we're able to put things on the table.
So you don't think there should be any expectancy to who is called to lead? Like if you just see something that's
of course,
what you want?
no. Well, I think it's called building. I think everyone deserves a piece. I think everyone can be like, there can be a trophy mother, but there also can be a lead, like a person who can lead the house, a founder. There can also be someone that can paint the house to get the house done, paint it to make it look nice. I think everyone matters. It's just it just depends where you want to put them. We don't have to throw someone away because we feel like, because you can't lead in this way. They don't have the qualifications to do that. A lot of people don't even have the qualification to be a legend or icon. Sorry, y'all.
So speaking of that, I feel like, because I had like this whole little like breakdown. We went to go see Black as You Are. It was a premiere. Michael Rice. It was a documentary. And I want to go into that, but the reason that I started thinking about ballroom too was because of that. But we will go back into that. But so do you feel like sometimes that ballroom creates division and like a elitist attitude? Like, I know that I came from a Benji house, like which they said we were Benji. Like,
what house is that?
When I was in the House of Chanel, like entering ballroom, I was in the House of Chanel. But that was the most family that I have ever really felt.
Yeah.
Like, we went through things together. Like, we learned, like, bitch, you got to go get a job. Like, bitch, we were all piled up in a car. You know what I'm saying? It was just things that we just went through as a family that made us stick together. And they said, well, that's the Benji house. So ballroom made me feel like, oh, girl, you in that Benji house. You need to be in a face house or a fashion house. You know what I'm saying? And so I started even getting this attitude that, bitch, I need to be in this house and that people can't get into and all of these things. And to the point where I have to apologize. As I got older, my mindset did change, but there were people that I had even turned around before knowing their talent. And it was based off of a look. Not realizing that I had got so caught up in the superficial of the look of being the elite or considered, you know what I'm saying? Like they have to look like this or you have to look like that. And when I watched this documentary and I realized like, bitch, you didn't realize the privilege of support. Like I had family support. I didn't have to, be outside and, all these things. And it was showing how you expect us to fight the black fight, like Black Lives Matter. But what if you grew up having to fight the black people that kept you down? And your whole existence was fighting and fighting. I think of Ayana Dior and those people. And it just made me like rethink so many things. I'm like, these people are coming to the scene to feel the love that they didn't receive at home or in the streets. And then we have this attitude like, oh, bitch, you can't be a part of. So I just want to say shout out to those houses that didn't have such a superficial stance where they was like, oh, but they accepted the kids and they seen the diamonds in the rough, or you might not have had the most of talent, but at least you still had somewhere to go.
And I saw it with you. And the moment when I realized when it was really going to hit you is when they were showing the scene and they were sitting outside talking about their struggles. And I remember sitting on this couch and I told you, and I was saying that's the place where I was coming from when I said black on black, meaning that we had to fight the same people who look like us, who were supposed to love us and protect us.
And I always thought it was counterproductive. Like, because I didn't have, you know what I'm saying?
Because that wasn't your experience. But to hear those kids speak like that lets us know that this still exists today. This still happens to people today. The girl who is incarcerated right now for unaliving someone, these things happen today, where these things build up and incidents like this happen. We don't know what someone is experiencing on a daily basis, but as a community, we want to hold people accountable to this moral standard of how we see stuff, not understanding that this happened because of a reason. These kids, and the young girl in the movie who was saying how she trusted her parent and what her parent did to her, makes me think about what Asia is saying, but this is what I'm saying. So should we actually get leaders who are aware of this stuff and know how to be the balance? Absolutely. If you just want this pretty face to represent your house and she's going to be the girl and she may not have all of that, what are you doing to develop those structures where the house feels like a home to these kids who are not just coming to ballroom just to practice and whoop-de-whoop. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for a community because they can't find it in their neighborhoods. So my thing is, what do we do as a community? And when I talk like that, it's, oh, I'm late. Oh, they don't understand. Oh, I'm this, or I'm speaking about a possibility that I experienced in my life. Yeah. And I want others to have that experience.
I believe that.
You talk about your house. I think about like the House of Revlon. When I came in with so much family, it was family.
I believe that. I think there should be room for everyone. I think it should be room for everybody. I think everyone deserves a chance. It's like just because this person is feeling it doesn't mean that they should get pushed aside because this person needs a home. I think it's. And that's the problem. Like, I feel like we put so much on people that this is ballroom to me. Yes, I never got that. I came from Aga, Balenciaga, from the door. And I didn't get that sense of family. I got sense of creating the best, like being the best, like you go work hard, become the best, like that. And I love that because it poured so much into me mentally for my creative dreams outside of ballroom, and I needed that. And I would have loved to maybe, meet someone to be my chosen mother or in ballroom, but I didn't need that because I've met people outside of that helped me in that area, like Tashawn Mulan, who was my gay father, who was there for me since I was 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I had that. I believe that in our community now that...
But he's ballroom.
Yeah, he is, but I met him outside of ballroom. That had nothing to do, like, it was way outside of ballroom, and we weren't in the same house. To talk about what you were saying, like, as far as everyone deserves, shouldn't be over here or looking down. How do you separate the houses then?
I don't know. I mean, like, it's a torn, like, situation, I think, of course, like, yes, you do separate the houses, but I just think that, I mean, for me, it was a personal thing for me. Where I could look back at some of the houses that everyone says is Vanjie, bitch, they look like they have they're the most connected. Like, they're the most family. Because when you get amongst a bunch of people who acting so like, bitch, they don't give a fuck about you. They care about themselves.
Yeah, but no one really give a f about you, because I've been in Benji houses.
That's your background.
Yeah, but I'm only we're all only talking about from our perspective. No one knows the fact. You know, like for me, my journey, I've been in a Benji house. They was worse to me mentally. So it was just like, for me, I would rather you be you. I would rather you show me your true colors. I would rather you not act like you love me and you're doing worse behind my back. I would rather you show me that you can't have that ability to show me that. I'd rather you have that wall up and get to know me genuinely. That's what I would rather. I would rather that. I would rather us get to know each other genuinely.
We say quote unquote. I'm not saying that just the Benji.
Those Benji houses are a scam.
People. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
the sneaker don't last. That Benji house is a scam. That don't mean family.
I'm just saying. You know.
But you said that
because seriously,
so you were developed to be the best. Like you were.
That's what. When I was at Aga, I was taught to become the best in ballroom, and I separated the two. Like a lot of my friends was Mizers. I think I was the only young one that was at Balenciaga at that moment, and that put me in a. Honestly, yes, it was. I felt lonely as being the only young one in the house at that time, but it pushed me to be the best for me, for myself.
For your category.
Not just my category, but creative mindset. It made me think. Like every time I created in ballroom, I always just like think outside the box.
Imagine if you had a mentor earlier on in that house who was not just mentoring you for a ballroom, but for life. You know how now you have, like, you know, you feel.
No. I think no. I think that's dope. Like I that's why I said I think it should be room for both. I think that I think ballroom.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think ballroom should be at a place where it should be elevated.
But the positions is what I'm saying.
Oh, you mean
it needs to be a well-rounded individual, a person who does not mind nurturing and mentoring. Yeah, like there has to be space for that in every house. I feel like.
I don't know. I don't really. That's a hard one for me to really. That's hard for me because I believe. I don't know because pouring. I notice how a lot of people pour so much out and don't get none back. And they are drained. They drain. Like they get tired.
You get burnt out.
They get burnt out. They disappear.
But this is what I'm saying, right?
But that's why you need others.
So this is what I was trying to say. So
it's a
when
team,
you have the structure, right? Your team must be able to carry you and carry the weight with you. Because when we get burnt out, and let's not talk about that because this is what you were saying, like in the beginning. How you realized you had to run.
I had to run home. Like I was so
here's the thing. Even like when I was talking to you on the phone, when I left the ball, I was catching Charlie horses in my leg.
She wore them damn hills.
But here's the thing. Don't do that because I mean it happened.
And then she was sliding to the left in that dip.
Listen, y'all have admitted that it has happened. Like we've been in those situations where we are drained because we're trying to do so many things and be so many things in that one moment. It takes a lot of energy to do that. No. And then how do you disconnect and know that everything will run or that people will be there to support you when you're like that? So when you say that, you know, I realize I have to take time for myself and time for this, that's a good structure to teach to others as well. But someone has to be able to teach them. Someone has to have the bandwidth to say, listen, here's this and here's that. You have to balance this for you to have the level of success or the trajectory that you would have had even more so had you had that mentor, had you had someone that was invested. We've shared things about what the benefits of having someone there, and we found that with each other. Like I look at y'all, honestly, and I'm grateful that I get to do this with y'all because our journeys are so different. Yeah. But yet we're learning together. And to me, that means more than anything because if we didn't have mentorship, we have it with each other and we hold each other accountable. This is what accountability looks like.
And that's what I really thank God because I feel like in my life, I'm around so many people, especially now in my life, that I'm leveling up mentally, just being around them, just being inspired and, you know, It's beautiful. I agree.
Yeah, I think it was for a chase for me too. Like that's why people talk about me like going to different houses and stuff because my background, like, thank you to my family, like, I had support, and so I didn't want to fake it.
Yeah.
Like, bitch, if you don't fuck with me for real, why am I going to be a part?
Girl.
Like, I guess, like, and when you come from a different experience, and I do want to apologize as well, like when we had the conversation last time, and I was like, oh, just because I'm trans, I'm supposed to just be like, you know what I'm saying, ride with every trans, like, there's evil in all aspects. I can understand now why certain people would be like, bitch, I'm a ride with my trans, or I'm a ride with whatever, where I was like, bitch, I'm black and trans, so it's a line, like, okay, I can't get you gonna see black when you see me,
yeah.
like, so and I have the trans experience, so it was very hard, but I do realize that people have different backgrounds, and that's why they feel the way they feel. So so I think you want to play the game before we bring on?
Girl, that was such a fucking moment that you said that.
That was fab. Look at her. Look at her. She's okay. That was cute. Okay.
No, that was gross. Bitch, I've been grown. That documentary really did something to me. I bust out crying. This bitch rubbing my back, making me cry more. Y'all know I don't like to cry. I'm like,
because this the girl that's gonna rub your back like, girl, get off of me.
Jesus. I'm like, didn't you just hear the man say that we was introduced to Christianity through slavery and
yeah, I mean, I think,
bitch, when they said that in the movies, bitch, I was looking at her like this. We go at our little battles on the the religion.
No, but really, if you have not seen Black as You Are, please go and see it. It was so informative in the way
plantation psychosis.
Yes. That means what? Plantation psychosis. Michael Robertson.
Oh no. Oh no.
But it's really good. You should go see it.
I went first last time. When do y'all go first? Girl.
No fears. If you had no doubts, no worries, or no fears of the unknown, what would you do? What would you do if you weren't afraid? Ooh. Y'all gotta come back to me on that. I think that went through.
See, these things are so deep.
You think so? I'm gonna go. In your childhood, what did you not receive, and how has this impacted you? Hugs. Hugs. Like I didn't get that from my mom. Like I didn't get, or even like from my family in period, I didn't get that emotion, that being vulnerable from them. They were strong, like they got the things they needed to get done, but I didn't see that love within each other at all. So it's hard for me to open up to people immediately. Like it takes me a little second to warm up to people, and a lot of times people perceive that as me being shady or like in my own way, but it's kind of just it takes a little second for me to get to know you. Even with relationships, like it's hard for me to hold a guy's hand. I don't like, it's real hard and stuff. Yeah.
That's funny that you said that, because I used to date somebody and I was like, bitch, you don't really like me, because they didn't get that either. So they didn't know the affection. That part, they was like, how could you like judge me or be mad at me for something I don't know how to do? And I'm like, bitch, if you really like me, you just gonna touch me. Like, and they like, I didn't get that when I was younger. So yeah.
I still love you, mother, but
putting yourself last. Wow. Where are you putting yourself last? Why did you put your own needs? Why did you put aside your own needs? Oh shit.
She had a lot of these.
That's pretty deep.
That is deep.
That's very deep.
What's that first thing that came to mind when you read that? She trying to go to the
She trying to find that out.
She trying to like, no, I don't want to say that because I don't want to be judged.
Say it.
She trying to sugarcoat a bitch. What was the first thing that came to your mind when you read that question?
I think about the first thing that came to my mind, I thought about my work. Right? I thought about, that was the first thing that came. And I know that sounds weird, but that was the first thing that came to me, is that I put myself last when it comes to my work. And I think it was a condition. In fact, I know I was conditioned to always want to put others before me. You know, like I grew up in the church, like we were taught to be servants. We were taught to be there for the people. And that's where I know that religion has had a strong hold on me. But I also know that as a result, I was able to help others. One of the greatest accomplishments for me was the Trans Equity Fund that we raised in New York City, working together to raise that amount of money for trans people. That's when I knew that I could do something. And I've always felt like I had to be the voice of the people who would not speak up. So especially during this time, having those experiences and those shared experiences, knowing how if we don't say anything, then we will face these harms. These things will continue to happen. We will still show up and get the bottom of the barrel to access to care, to things that we inherently need. So for me, it's like my work. Like I always put myself last to the point where I'm drained. And then when I need to disconnect, I don't know how to, because I feel guilty of trying to find some semblance of peace without people looking at me and judging me for having it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So for me, what would I do? And it would be all the way transparent. Mm-hmm. So I'm learning transparency, and I can say all the time, like, you know, the more transparent I am, the more opportunities and the more like I, you know, show a purpose and all those things, but I'm still like, bitch, no. Like, you know, I wish that I could just be so transparent. You don't know how much I battle with, like, oh, I'm about to say this, and then I take it back. And I put this picture up, and I erase it. Or I got to take 20 pictures because I'm like, bitch, that don't look right. Like, I battle with being judged or not trying to be perfect. Like, I've heard people say, girl, you try to be so perfect. And I'm like, you think so? Bitch, I think I'm so far from that. And they like, no, bitch, that's why you battle with those things. And I wish that I could just be like transparent and just be like, fuck it. But I just think that, I don't know what that is. Like, even going back to this, and before we go into that, wanting to feel better than, like, you know, even when we come in ballroom, bitch, I want to be the best one. And I don't know if that comes from like a childhood thing or whether, whereas a lot of us was bullied for being different. You know what I'm saying? So you will always wonder, like, bitch, I'm going to be the best. Like, oh, I'm going to always come out, you know. So yeah, I don't want to go too much into it, but yeah.
That was good.
Yes.
This game is
so
too deep.
We're going to take a break and then come back with Surface Level, darling. This is Femme Queen, Crazy, Sexy, Cool. Don't you forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, press the bell so you can get your notifications, darling. Welcome back. We have Damon, Tony, Jordan, the GLAAD-nominated podcast Surface Level Dog. What's going on?
What's up?
What y'all say? The girls are here.
The Bush Queens and the Femme Queens. So we are excited.
We're excited to have y'all.
Yes, I'm so excited.
We might know y'all a little bit, but our audience may not. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us. First of all, I want to know all y'all signs too, because I be sitting there watching like, I wonder what this sign.
Me too. So I'm Damon. I'm a Sagittarius. We did a season a few years ago. What was it? Earth, Wind, and Fire. I was the fire.
Stern. You give a little stern.
I try. Yes. Keep these girls in line. Yeah. I'm Tony, and I'm a Capricorn. And so when we did our Earth, Wind, and Fire series, I was Earth because I'm grounded. And I keep these girls on the ground.
Wait, I thought the year was when?
Maybe I was. But I felt like the Earth. But Capricorn is an Earth sign.
Right.
So
right.
In real life, I keep the girls grounded.
We did a little swap-a-roo. I'm Jordan. I'm a Libra, so I'm an air sign, but I was Earth for the theme of the season. Because I'm grounded too. Sometimes.
Are you guys from New York?
No, well,
So I'm born in the Bronx, raised in Virginia. Damon's from Chicago.
yes.
Jordan's from Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all met each other at Howard University
Yeah.
back in the day. And we've known each other over a decade at this point. We went into college 2007. And here we are in 2025. So y'all do the math. I didn't go to school for math.
Friendship.
2007, were you guys like out or because like the way I heard you express it one time was like, you know, things wasn't as colorful.
No,
back then.
They were
So
not. They were
were
not.
you guys like open like back
So
then?
Tony, she's been bringing it out for a long time. She paved the path.
Yes.
Jordan and I, not so much.
Yeah.
Don't ask, don't tell was our motto in life. And we all kind of, not we all, but Jordan and I came out to each other in New York when we first moved here. So they've lived here since 2011. I moved here in 2012. So me and Jordan were coming out around that time. Tony, she had a...
Yeah, I was ready to go to town, literally. And that was the first club I went to in DC. It was called Town. And that was 2007. And I was like, curious and ready to just jump into that lifestyle and explore who I was. And I had the right people around me that enabled and empowered me to be able to take that leap. And so from there, it's just like, okay, here it is, here I am, and let's do it. Like, never turn back. And so I'm happy to have had the undergraduate experience being out of the closet because so many of my friends didn't have that experience.
Right.
And I lived in those 4 years of college.
Second semester, I was like, oh, bitch, I might as well just.
Yeah. No, we joke a lot about how shit has changed since we were there. Like the president of the student association now is like a black trans woman. Like at HBCU, she did a project that we did with Tab. She came up and was incredible. And she was like, oh, like we love what y'all do. It's like I was telling her, I was like, you realize every black, queer, trans person that's ever gone to Howard knows who you are. Because like have created you are in an opportunity that like we can fathom 15, 16 years ago when we were
Absolutely.
there. So.
We always talk about like knowing when you're young. Like a lot of times with the girls that we had, like Stephanie, we just had her, and she was talking about when she was younger, she just knew she was feminine and she was pretty, and it wasn't really about an attraction or anything for her. And I say the same thing because for me, like when I was younger, I knew that there was something was different, and I wanted to like dress up in heels and all that stuff or whatever. But it wasn't necessarily me being attracted to men because I thought that was nasty for a very long time, and I don't know if that was because I was brainwashed from church or whatever. But I was like, child, So when did you guys realize that there was something different, that you were gay?
I grew up in church in Chicago. It was funny, you were talking about you, because you did I Know I've Been Changed.
I did.
I saw that show.
You did?
So I'm like pretty sure, then I'm like.
I was the one that smashed it with you.
Yeah, so like that, and when I saw that, I was like, wait a fucking minute. I was like, that can't be. I'm like, this is crazy. So like, but I grew up in church in that kind of way. Like what's my entertainment? I'm going to see like the gospel play when it comes to town. Like my dad was a deacon, my grandfather was a pastor. And for me, I grew up ashamed of it, thinking like, oh, well, I got to keep this ruse up forever because that's what I'm told I'm supposed to do. And I fucking hated it. And I just remember I was in, I spent 1 year after we graduated from Howard, I lived in Boston. And I didn't know nobody up there, like, and it was my year of just like, okay, I'm gonna be me. And what does that look like? And I got to do it. The sky didn't fall. And then by the time I was moving to New York, I remember the night before I moved to New York City, I called my parents and I was just like, Mom, Dad, I'm gay, or I think I said I was bi, because I don't know what the fuck I said. But I said something to the effect, and I was just like, I'm not moving to this place, and I'm not going to exist in like a space that's not me. And from there, I've just been kind of fucking crazy about it. I'm just like, yeah. If you like it, you like it. If not, get the fuck over it. So that's me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it really goes back to 4th grade. And there was this one kid, his name was Charles, I remember it, and we used to be going up under the desk and like fondling each other's little private areas.
Oh my God.
But we didn't know what we were doing. We just knew that it felt good, and we knew that it wasn't something we should be doing because we were sneaking to do it. And so that was kind of like the first time that when I really think about that question. And then it goes into, junior high school and high school and going through puberty and realizing that the anatomy works the way it works, and what was making me work was other boys and not girls necessarily. And so then when I got to college, that's when I was really able to open up Pandora's box and come into my full self and explore that and see, like, is this who I am? And I think that's when I really discovered for myself, like, yeah, I'm a gay man.
Yeah.
The Pandora's box.
Pandora's box.
I bet you opened it up.
I opened it. Opened it, closed it, flipped it, dipped it.
I feel like my experience started like before fourth grade. I feel like I don't know a world when I wasn't interested in boys. I was always pretty sure. And I think that for me, I knew at a very young age, and I was just like, how do I like break away from my family structure so that I can actually like experience this? Because I think the entire time that I was at home, I was just like, I know this is not safe to do this here, so I'm not going to do it here. But maybe if I have an opportunity where I can get away, I can explore. And then I got to Howard and I was still scared. And I was just like, this doesn't feel safe here either. Like, I don't really know if I want to be out. And so like Damon mentioned, like I didn't really come out until I like was a full adult that graduated and was 21 years old and was just like, I don't care what you think. But yeah, I don't know a world in which I wasn't attracted to men.
We kind of talk about this a lot on the show, being Black and gay. How do you guys show up in the world, and how do you show up? Do you show up and I'm Black, like she says I'm Black first, then how do you guys show up?
It's interesting. I think for a long time, I always felt Black first, obviously because you can see it.
Right.
I can't hide it. I'm not the most masculine person in the world, but like I can live in spaces in the world where like people aren't going to immediately go sissy. And that's a privilege that I have. And like
Sissy.
I don't always show up in all my hot pink regalia, pumping through life. And for a long time, I would say that was like the experience I had. Like I grew up in a house that's like adamantly pro-Black. Like my parents knew how to instill that in me. The queer part has been like this second adolescence and like learning shit that my parents, who love me dearly and who have never like mistreated me and like have always been supporting me as a queer person, they didn't know what to give me or like how to show me love in that way. And I would say that now to me it's really both. And I don't know if it's because we do this show, so it's very hard in a lot of ways for me to like not show up as both, because in so many spaces, particularly if we're like around Black queer people, they've either, oh, you're the person from that thing that I saw. So it's just like immediate conversations about both parts of the identity. And I love how those things play together. Like, I like being around my Black straight friends and still being queer as fuck. Or just being in spaces that I need to, like, people need to understand, like, I'm a nigga. And like, y'all gonna respect that too. In like maybe professional space where it's just like, I'm bringing this shit with me as well in here. And yeah, so I would say like, it's been a bit of an evolution. But today, I would say they both kind of take up equal amounts of space. I don't know how y'all feel.
Well, that question is interesting, Asia, because when I don't think I really sat and thought about how I show up in the world, and where my mind went is I show up as human. I'm a human being. I'm a person. I show up as I'm grateful to be able to exist in a space now where I get to show up exactly as who I am. And that's all parts of me. And so I don't think about gay, Black, male. I think about just, I'm Tony. That in a nutshell.
Yeah. I feel like my experience is like, when you asked that question, it brought up like a lot of feelings. Like I grew up like in a very like Black affirming environment. I went to a school when I was in elementary school. It was African People's Action School. That was the acronym. We learned Swahili, we learned Black history. Like it was very enriching in that way. And I grew up in a predominantly Black neighborhood in Trenton, New Jersey. And then I went to Howard University and I was in the HBCU. And it wasn't until New York where I felt like I had to kind of explain my Blackness to a lot of people. It was the first time when I moved here that I felt like I was around environments that weren't predominantly Black.
Right.
And so I felt like a lot of people were asking me or expecting some sort of like elaborate response around like my heritage. And I was just like, oh, like I didn't, they're like, what are you? I'm just like, I'm Black. And they're just like, but what else? And I've always just been like, my family is Black. Like I'm light skinned, but like my mom's side of the family is Black, my dad's side of the family is Black. And so I feel like in my adult life, I definitely had like to navigate what that means. I understand that people who are not Black sometimes will respond in a way to me that feels like they don't really understand truly where I sit. I think Black people look at me and be like, you got some of the features that let us know that you're a part of the family. So I feel like in my adult life, like the queerness has taken up more of the like conversation, I guess. But I think I agree with Damon in terms of like talking about the podcast. Like both of them kind of take equal like. You know, equal importance just because we have conversations that talk about the Black experience and the queer experience. But I definitely feel like in my adult life, I definitely had to do a lot more explanations around like my heritage.
I think part of this too that she meant was like, also because we talked about it and I was saying, when we talked about earlier, having to like the Black fight against the Black queer and then fighting Black people. And sometimes you see like, when we're having like the same times that like Black Lives Matter happened, then there was the girl who got beat up by a Black community, the trans girl get beat up by the Black community. And so a lot of times you'll see people, like somebody said something like, well, why should I, you know, like, did everybody support, like for Friday, the
boycott.
The boycott on Friday. Like, so people were making comments about that, like, why should I do that? And then tomorrow I'm gonna be a fag or whatever. Like, you know, they'll throw in something like that. So I think a part of that question is, how do you feel about, do you ever pull back from the Black fight, like, you know, because of the queer situation, or are you always going to be all in Black and I'm queer?
No, I, speaking back to me being the fiery one, I like nothing more to make people uncomfortable. And I feel like people being comfortable is one of the least productive things they can possibly fucking be. So if I'm ever around Black people, and I don't mean just like random people, I mean people in my life that I love, that I have a relationship with, and they start talking, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about in relation to Black queer people or into Black trans people? Like, let's really get into that. Like, I've had real conversations with people in my life about where they get wrapped up in this conversation around bathrooms and sports teams and all these things where like, in their minds, and I'm not defending it, in their minds, they think they're being logical. I'm like, well, actually, no, you're actually being really offensive. You're not really following the science. You're not. I'm like, have you spoken to a Black trans woman with this opinion you have? And for me, I think that as much as our fight for whatever shit against power structures and white people and all their shit, our internal fights are just as important to me. And for me, I'm just like, let's jump into that. Like, if you want to say it, come on, let's talk about it for real. And like, what does it really mean? And like, what's the shit what are you really trying to say? And like, what are the facts? And then how can we kind of meet somewhere where it makes a little more sense?
So you all in all the
I'm
time?
all in all the time. And like,
Stop trying to other us.
I felt like sometimes a break is necessary. You can be all in, and then sometimes I think you need to hit pause because it is exhausting and we have to take care of ourselves. And I think back to me growing up and being in certain spaces. I've not always been the most outspoken. I've not always been the one that has to say something. But I do recognize that if I have a seat at the table, then I should use my voice to impact, you know, change. And that, for me, goes back to just relating to identity. As a Black person, as a queer person, I should be using my voice to speak truth to power. And especially now having this platform, I've really learned how important that is, even more so. And like you said earlier, Tabytha, it's about speaking for those who won't speak up themselves. Someone's got to do it. So who better than me?
Yeah, I mean, even when you look on social media right now, like to both of your points about like just being really responsible about the platform that we've all created. I think there's a conversation happening on social media right now where a lot of Black male actors are coming out and talking about how they turned down roles to portray a gay character because they don't believe in the feminization of Black men in Hollywood. And when I see stuff like that, I'm just kind of like, how much time did they actually spend thinking through and interrogating their point of view and actually like asking them the hard questions versus like just getting on a microphone and just saying like, no, that's fucked up. Or sorry, I don't know if this is a cursing podcast.
We get down and dirty over here.
Okay. Good. But yeah, I think that those are the moments where I just get really exhausted because I'm just kind of like, ugh, like I really wish that you would have took more than 30 seconds to actually even think about how you wanted to respond to this and understand that your response to this is actually creating a lot more difficulty for other Black people in your community who have to live the day-to-day experience of being effeminate. And so, yeah, I think that to you guys' point, it's just like, the responsibility is not there, and so you do have to take a pause and be like, worry about yourself and figure out how you can like continue to show up in a responsible way without responding to like all of the nasty stuff that's being said.
That was really deep what you said when you had made the statement of be making people feel uncomfortable. It took me a very long time to get to that place. As a trans woman, as a Black trans woman, it took me a while to be able to show up in a space and just stand firm on who I am. So with that being said, I want to ask you guys to take a card.
But wait, I did want to say something, right? So I have a couple of questions before y'all get heavy into that. You keep saying your platform, right? And the intersections of the struggle of being queer and being Black. The intersections between being the Black trans woman. Sometimes you can see how that intersects, and then we'll say things like there's no support or lack of support from those who have the same shared experience in this movement work, right? Us having this platform. So this is two-part. One, how did you come to make this podcast the way you did? And two, do you see the intersections of Black trans women in your queer fight?
So the show kind of, in a fun way, grew out of, like, we've known each other and been friends for a very long time. A girlfriend of ours, Unique, she's amazing. She was like, we were like, we used to have like wine and hang out at the house. And like literally one day she was like, I was just trying to podcast. Like just her, she's a big personality. And we were just like, okay, cool, whatever. And she kept saying it. And then like in 2019, we were like, maybe. Like we've all kind of had these careers in various spaces. Like what can we do for us that's like about our stories and telling them through our very specific point of view without somebody giving us permission or giving us a lens or telling us it should be something. Like what can we do? And then 2020 rolled around and it became what we thought was just going to be super easy. Show up in the studio, like do the thing. World shut down. It became a pandemic project. Like we started the first season of it. Like we recorded it on my living room floor in Harlem, like that summer where the fireworks were going off every 30 fucking seconds. Like if you listen to the very early seasons of our show, it sounds it's like Tony was in in the garage band or whatever it is, doing an audio engineer and there's fireworks in the background. And for us, it was just became about, okay, what do we have to say? Like what is it that people who live like us, love like us, look like us are experiencing that we in some way want to share? Or that we in some way want to, and like we used to say for a very long time, like if this can touch just like one person, cool. Like I'm not doing it for people to tell me I'm great or any of that shit. It was just like, if in some way telling our stories can be valuable to someone, then we've done what we set out to do. Yeah. And I would say that in the last now 5 years, we feel that we've done that tenfold.
Yeah. And just to give people the real background on even how we're sitting here, because first of all, I love seeing y'all grow. It's so amazing to see everyone is talking about y'all. Everyone's gonna have something to say. Don't matter. Like you're talking about the comments and stuff like that, but it's just amazing to see 3 different individuals who are so different come together to talk about the issues. And it relates to so many people, and that's why you're continuing to grow, and that's why you're continuing to see such outpour of love and support. And so Tabytha and I actually met because we were both being honored in the Bronx for our respective work in the field, and mine happened to be this podcast. And Tabytha, we know all that you do. And so I'm sitting beside Tabytha, didn't know each other, and she's like, when I go up there to give my speech, I need you to take photos of me. I need you to take photos and capture video. And so I'm like, I got you. And that literally blossomed to a conversation afterwards. Tabytha was telling her story about her life, and at the end of it, it was like, that girl that you talked about, you was like, I'm that girl. And you were talking about The Stroll. Right. And we watched The Stroll. It was a beautiful documentary, and we had Tabytha on the show. And Tabytha came in, she didn't know us. Like, you know, you're still coming in and you're like, what is this space? Who are these people? What is this going to feel like? And I'm happy that we were able to create an environment that you ended up feeling safe in, and our relationship has flourished since then. And so when you talk about that trans intersection within what we're doing with our platform, is so important for us. It really is. And we want to do more and have more visibility around that. So I'm just happy to be here today. This is like a full circle moment.
It is.
Yeah.
Tab is definitely, I always tell them, like, there are some people that we've met throughout this journey. If they call, we're going to show up. No questions asked. It is what it is. Like, that's what the support is. We did the project last year for Pride, and I called Tab. I was like, Tab, do you think we get the girls to come do what they come do?
It was
like,
amazing.
Do the thing? I'm like, we
It
have
was
this idea. Like, we think
beautiful.
it'd be really cool. I was like, we want everybody to look good. But, like, can you get it? And like, you showed up for us, and you've shown up for other things for us, and like, we love and appreciate that. Thank you to you and to all three of you for doing that in various ways. Yeah, I would also add that, like, in this experience, like, we have the experience of like cis, queer, gay boys. And as we've done this show, like, we've always said, like, hey, we want to have more voices on for other parts of the LGBTQIA+. Did I do it right? Yeah. Community. And for a while, we were trying to have people of trans experience on, and we couldn't get a yes, and we couldn't figure out why. And the very first trans person that came on our show was Lola Gucci.
Lola Gucci.
Oh, really?
She did our show before we did video. She came on.
She almost did not.
She
come
almost
on.
did not.
She was like,
a friend of ours. We were like, we're trying to have someone. We were like, we'd love to have somebody from Ballroom or like a trans person on. And a friend of ours knew Lola, and she, like, it was a soft yes. And then, like, we finally got her to come, and like, she had a great experience. And at the end, she was like, you know, there are a lot of places where I'll go, or like other trans people will go, and feel like it doesn't feel safe, where it feels like you're using my identity in some like exploitive like way, where you're like trying to get that weird gotcha question, or like when Raquel was on Torre's show, and like the clip they broke down from her was this the thing about disclosure in a way that, like, you knew it was going to be about
It was edited to be very sensational.
Exactly, it was edited to be sensational, and it's less about telling the story of that person. And I think that for us, it was a learning experience. It was like, okay, if we're going to engage this part of our community, there's a level of like safety we have to create. There's a level of like explaining to people, okay, what does this platform do? And if you come on it, what will your experience be? That's not just like, oh, we got such like, and that has been a learning experience. And I would say something unique that we didn't even know. It was just like, hey, we gay boys, they should be okay. It's just like, actually, you all have a level of privilege and can walk through the world in a way that is very different. And that has been something that was a good learning experience for us, and something that as we've had more people with trans experience on the show, all of them have left them like, we felt safe here. And like, that to me has been the thing. I was like, okay, I think we're still doing this the right way.
Yeah, I told her that when we after we wrapped for the Pride event, I was like, I felt so safe. If it was beautiful, I felt really safe.
Yeah.
Love that.
We try and create the right things. Like, I called Tab, I was like, okay, I know the girls need the makeup done. I don't know who it is, Tab. Tell me who you need. I was like, because they're not going to go back to the ballroom community. Like, Surface Level called us up and had us looking
Crazy. They did us
They're
dirty.
not going to say it about us.
They did us dirty.
I would say, like, every opportunity that we have had the benefits of sharing space together has been one of shared value. And I respect y'all so much. That's why, like, it's vice versa. Like, we're there for each other because I believe that we all understand the importance of centering our voices and holding space for our voices. How has the voices of the trans people been valued in your space? How has it helped you?
I think it's we don't walk in y'all's shoes, and so it's like being a student and learning a different life experience. And so I think the three of us we stay curious about other people's experiences and trying to figure out how can we play our part in helping whatever that may look like for your community and also for ourselves. Everyone advocacy looks different. Yeah. And that just it can be something really simple as just being a listening ear or asking someone how they are to actually being on the front lines and, rallying or whatever the case may be. And so I think to me, it's like being in life's class and continuing to learn and being open-minded.
Yeah, I feel like when we first started this podcast, I think that we were just like, okay, we're three friends. We want to get on the microphone. We want to talk. And I think that we very quickly realized that this was way more than just like three friends talking on a podcast. And I can speak frankly from my experience that I hadn't had much exposure to trans women or trans people in general in my day-to-day life. And I think a lot of our viewers also may have shared that experience. And I think that after having Lola on the show, we've exposed a lot of our listeners into what that experience looks like. And I think that that's really, really important. I think when we look at what's happening in the media right now, where there's a lot of censorship happening, things are being defunded in terms of like what stories and what narratives and what words we're allowed to say. I think that more than ever it's important that platforms like ours and platforms like yours, that we are talking, because we live in New York City. And even though there's a lot going on in the world, we can still find community. But there are people that share in our experience that live in different parts of the country that have no one to look to. And they have to open up YouTube or open up like their phone to feel a sense of normalcy and a sense of community. And so I find it to be like an incredible responsibility to make sure that we're not just only talking to people who have the identical experience as us, that we're opening up the aperture and that we're making sure that people within our experience understand your experience and can also mobilize. Because I also understand, and Damon mentioned it, like I understand the frustration from the trans community to the cisgender gay man experience, because it's very real. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain momentum that happens for the what's happening with trans rights right now versus how much noise is going to happen with same-sex marriage. Like we haven't even seen that unfold yet, but we know how the volume difference between the two are going to be. And I think that with our podcast, we're trying to make sure that we aren't just talking about the things that immediately impact our experience, because we're all in it together. And so I just feel like it's a requirement, honestly.
I'm so glad that you said that, because we were talking about that. Like this operational machine, how, a lot of gay men and a lot of other identities, like we're going to say the LGB, right, have benefited off of trans people being they've been benefactors to our struggle as we help them secure their rights. And once they got their rights and they got their marriage, we had this immovable force. It dismantled, they took their monies and they got what they wanted, and they left us still here fighting. And here we are again at another intersection where history is repeating itself. Now your rights are on the line. Now what happens to us in this fight? Like, will you continue to support us, or will we have to fight again to fight you to get what we inherently worked so hard for all of us to have? Which is why I say protecting us protects you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And do y'all still feel like, because I was watching one of your shows, I believe it maybe was like the first one. This was right when Trump got in office, and it was like, child, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. They're just blurting out all these things, and it's a part of trying to tire us out and like miss the point. But now that we realize that there are really we used to have like slightly like checks and balances, but
Now it's giving bitch.
It's a
Everything is getting thrown out the window.
Yep.
The Republicans is giving cult vibes, or
Yep.
like they scared or something. Like, how do y'all feel now? Like, does it change the way you feel?
I feel tired. I'm tired with the bigger app. Like I want to say love, but I find politics especially interesting. And it's been something that I follow deeply. And for me, I've had to take a big step back from paying attention to like federal or like even these like larger corporation apparatuses that are supposed to support us. And I was telling Tab before we came on, I went to an event a few weeks ago where Kaya Dorsha was speaking, and what she was saying is like, we really got to get back to just like being in the room, being on the ground, thinking about being analog in this digital world, particularly when we look at like his inauguration and you have all the CEOs and heads of these social media companies and so on just like sitting there praising him. It's like, okay, well, how do we get back to, let me gather in this room, there's us, there's a production crew here as well of just like people that believe in this work where you can't stop it. You can create as many executive orders as you don't, but we're still sitting here now. Your mic didn't turn off because he did that. Fuck it.
Okay.
And I think that understanding, and Tab said this to me earlier, was just like understanding that there's power in the streets right here. And I don't have to look to, and yes, I am exhausted trying to like look at that and make sense of it. And even just understand you have that much hate, like you're not tired.
Yeah.
I'm like hating somebody that much all the time. That is exhausting. Even people I don't fuck with, I don't think about that much. Where like I really want to go and try and dismantle their whole lives. Like I don't give a fuck of that much. Like that requires too much of me.
Yeah, no, I everything Damon said, and I still want to do my part, whatever that looks like for me, and I'm still going to do my part, whatever that looks like for me. However, with that being said, I'm prioritizing joy and what that looks like for me. And I am prioritizing curating my days and how I spend my time and thinking about, is that going to be time well spent after the fact, or will I feel like, why did I leave my house? This is time well spent. This is what I'm prioritizing. Moments like these, having conversations like these, being in safe spaces, speaking up when I'm in spaces where people are still not as evolved in where they should be in how they view the world and those around them. And so I have to kind of put an infrastructure around myself to protect my peace, my sanity, my sanctity, all of the things. And so that's what I'm making sure that I do, because right now everything feels like a fire drill. And I'm not stop, dropping, and rolling every time.
I'm tired of that. I'm
So
tired.
I got a question about that, but go ahead.
No, I was just, I think that I agree. It's been just very overwhelming because there's a new headline every day. And I also like ask myself the question, like, why is there so much hatred towards the trans community? And I think that I'm trying to figure that out because I haven't heard any good reasons. Like, for the record, I haven't heard any good reasons. And so I feel like I'm spending a lot of time figuring out, like, why are they doing that? Are they trying to just get people at the community level to just hate each other so that we can't notice that they're taking all of the money and doing and turning this into a dictatorship? Like, I'm just trying to understand, like, what's causing all of this, because when you look at certain states like Iowa, who was the first state to legalize same-sex marriage, to see that they just passed a law to remove gender identity from protected groups within civil rights protections. I'm just kind of like, what does this actually mean? And what is the end goal? And I'm just very confused. And I feel like more than ever, and I think, Damon, you mentioned this, like, we need to talk to one another and have these conversations, because I don't think now is the time for us to not be with each other in this situation, because this is all happening right now with the trans community, but they're going to continue to like
That's how
build
I
this
feel.
out to
Everybody.
every minority group that they feel like could be a viable punching bag for society. And so if that's not enough of an incentive for people to wake up and start actually figuring out how they can rally against it, like it should be.
Divide and conquer. So it weakens us because they be like, well, I ain't for them. Then the trans is like, oh, but y'all ain't fight for us, so I ain't fighting for y'all. And everybody starts.
By the time it gets to you, it's like there's nobody left to fight.
So, and that's what leads me to the question of finding and creating intentional joy as an act of resistance, right? Speaking of these executive orders, and they keep coming out and they keep coming out, and it does create this sense of panic and urgency in us. And I was saying that some people can say, I don't want to watch that right now. And they have the privilege of it. But sometimes being black and being trans, I feel like I struggle with this, this not doing anything that has to do with like politics right now because I need a mental break. To see you say that, do you struggle with the guilt of that? Like finding joy, do you feel like when you have this joyous moment that people are like, well, you're not fighting, you shouldn't have joy?
Fuck that.
That is
Exactly what Asia said.
Fuck that.
Fuck that.
Fuck that.
I don't feel any guilt because we all deserve to be happy. I told someone the other day, I was like, this is it. I only have this time right now. So I'm not going to sit around and deal with how you feel about me prioritizing being on this earth and happy. And I just don't have the capacity. I don't have the capacity, but I understand what you're saying, Tabytha, because that is like, everyone doesn't have the privilege to sit idly by. And we can't all, but that's why everybody plays their part. We got to come together. I'm still in it, but I'm not every day. That's just not my thing. And that's not everyone's thing. And to be upset about someone else not showing up in that way, that energy can be better used for you to be on the front lines like you want to be.
We talk about that all the time. We go at it because I'm like, girl, some of the advocates be like, oh, she's not doing this way. Or something. I'm like, bitch, advocacy, it shows up in different ways. Like, bitch, you're being visible. Like your podcast. I'm like, they tend to go at it with each other about how somebody else is showing up. Worry about how you show up. And the rest will follow.
I will say that, like, with everything happening, it's only been a month since all of the
and it feels like
a year. It feels like a year.
I will say that like I do carry a certain amount of guilt around just like the ignorance around how I can actually help. I think that like what I'm realizing now is that like, and Damon, you've been saying this for such a long time, but I know I'm hard-headed sometimes. But like a lot of these decisions are being made at the state level. And I don't think that I've done enough work to educate myself on how to truly get involved in my political system beyond the big like presidential election every 4 years, and realizing like, oh, like these things are being raised by different states. And like I do carry the guilt, I think, of just not truly understanding how the political system works and how me as a regular everyday voter can do my part to make sure that there is some sort of change that I can like work towards. So that's something that I'm kind of like actively looking at because of the shit show that we've been experiencing for the last 4 weeks, that it feels more urgent, but that's something that I feel
there's
like
a lesson in everything, and I think that is a lesson within this, because I think a lot of people are realizing that.
And here's the thing, right? The important need for civic engagement is more crucial than we ever thought possible, right? Like you said, you went through life not just like, hey, all I got to focus on is this presidency, not understanding that there is our city council members, our people who are our borough presidents. These people are connected to larger elevations of Senate, like Richie Torres from the Bronx, like people, I don't even hate saying that name here, because we may not align in certain things that we both feel politically, about. But what I will say is how people in our own neighborhoods could represent us in these spaces, right? The president in his executive chamber only has the power over our military. He's in charge of our foreign affairs, and he has at will, he can veto and pass stuff like send out his executive orders.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't understand the process to that. It still has to go through adjudication system. So he's exhausting us, and because people are not aware, they're reacting. Right? And now social media is on fire. I can't get past it without seeing something, so I have to disengage because he understands that this is a long fight. It still has to go through the courts. But we're reacting and we're turning on each other. So how do we change that? By changing the narrative in media, by finding stories and creating this opportunity to talk so we can shed light. This is just a month.
Yeah.
We got to pace ourselves.
Yeah.
We ain't even been here 6 months with this man yet.
Yeah.
Are you just talking about marriage? Are either your the same-sex marriages being the next thing that they seem like they want to go after? Are either one of you married?
I'm married.
Wow.
And, you know, it's crazy. My husband, we were in the emergency room a few months ago for something, and a Black queer woman was like doing our paperwork or whatever, and she came in and she's talking to us, and she's like, you know, me and my partner did, I can't think of the exact name, like these other things where it's just like, if God forbid gay marriage, queer marriage fail, there are these other things that we can put in place to where she can still make, she was talking about, she can still make the decisions around me, and so on and so forth. And I think, you know, as a Black queer person, I have a hard time with the marriage discussion for a few reasons. One, I think, yes, it is the thing that like the white gays in Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen and the West Village care the most about. They got the gay marriage, and it's like, ooh, we have overcome. And I think that sentiment, and as Black queer people engaging with them, it's just like, there's more to this fight. Okay. There's more to Black trans rights, Black queer rights that y'all need to keep fighting for. I also think that the marriage piece is important. It is the thing that, beyond like our wedding day and I love you and the thing, it's the thing that allows, if something happens to me, my partner to make decisions about my life. And luckily I come from a loving family. Everybody doesn't. Like, you think about the experiences that many of our ancestors had during like the AIDS crisis, and people, you have a partner for many years and you can't come to their funeral now because something has happened. Or like, if I've been saving my little money and I want to pass it to my husband to be able to do something with either his life or our what would have been our lives, and I can't do that now because he won't have the rights to those things. I think there are structural legal protections and decision-making pieces that are important to that. Yeah. And it's just important for me as a Black queer person to say it so that like we don't lose sight of like, in the critique of what happens with those like white twinks that live a different life than us, that we don't lose sight of the value. And I'm not saying everybody needs to get married or any of those things, but what I'm saying is like, there is value in that agreement legally. Yeah. Like, we're having big discussions around legal protections, political protections. Right now, if I need to make a decision for my husband, or I'm incapacitated, like, or whatever is going on, like, we're in charge of that. And he's the person that I have chosen to be in charge of me if I can't be. Like, if we really want to think about, like, that's what you're deciding. If I can't be in charge of my life, my decision making, my finances, my health, this is the person I deem that I want to be in charge of that. And I think that we should be able to still have the protections in place to be able to do that, in the same way that straight cishet husbands, wives have been doing for however long. And that is the thing that really concerns me. I'm gonna love my husband, he's gonna love me, married, not. Like, that's not, like, in the same way that we were talking about community and the space we share in here, I'm not concerned about that shit going away at all. It's really about, and maybe it's similar almost to like the funding conversation we have around initiatives that we have now. It's just like, what are the structural things in place that really puts in danger? And that's the thing that I think about a lot. And like, I want us to realize, like, not, yes, those white twins get the most benefit from all of it, but it's not just for them. And there's shit that happens in our community that we need to really give a fuck about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is anyone else married?
We're not married. No.
Well, you can go into can we get a piece of that? You know, go
You want a
deep.
piece of that
Shadow.
shadow?
Go a piece of, get a piece of the shadow.
Well, I feel like I've been talking a lot, so we can go. Can you, somebody else go first with their shadow card?
We should liven it up.
After that, we got
After
that, we about to have fun.
I do have my own personal question for y'all, but I don't know when I can ask that.
No, let's go.
Because no, for me, so, and this is lighter, because like, yes, we can talk about all those things, and like, we will, and we're going to do it, and we've done it. But this is when I think about femme queens, I think about the ladies sitting here. I've never not seen y'all a hair out of place. You know what I'm saying? And I had this thought the other day thinking about coming here, and I was like, it's hard work to be a femme queen. So you gotta always be together. Your face is done, the hair, everything is, you know, the glitz, the glam, that as Lola said on our show, and I love it. What is that? Is there a pressure? Do you ever feel a pressure on that? I know that's something that you naturally, like you said, you were younger. I liked being in the heels and being pretty and all that, and I know some of that is protection too, right? If you really go deeper. But I'm curious to know from y'all, like, what that femme queen experience and just who you are as women that are.
Can I just? It's funny because I went to OTA last week. I saw Asia, and I literally was with my friend, and I was just like, how is she looking like this at 11:30 on this Monday night? She smelled good. The hair just touched me. It's soft. I said, child, I'm barely here, baby. I'm barely here. I'm like, this tweet don't come off. I'm barely in this place. And I was just like, she looks so good. I'm just like, I literally said to my friend, I was like, it is hard being a femme queen. It was not just, I'm looking around the room. I'm like, everybody's in here done at 11:30 on this Monday night. They haven't even started the affair yet. It was like, but
I'm an older femme queen now. So you get this on camera and when I'm at events and stuff. But I love the days that I'm outside, regular, no paint, hair pulled back, BMG, whatever, like jeans. I love all of that. And I've gotten and I was the type of girl that judged the older girls back in the day. I was like, girl, why she got on flats? Girl, I can't wait to take my heels off now. So it isn't, I think, being femme queens in ballroom too makes you have this pressure that you feel like you gotta be like. That's what a part of when I answered the question about being transparent earlier. Yeah. I feel like I'm always being judged because, like, you know, we were in ballroom from so long being judged, and it's like, oh, and then they make you like this, oh, she's the girl, and you're like, I gotta be the girl all the time. I feel like being the girl right now.
I don't know, like I think I echo a lot of what Tempress says, like it's somewhat pressure to always be on, but even when we're home and we're just chilling and we're on the phone, like we're off. And it feels good to have those spaces where we could be off.
Off to what we would say is off down.
Like what? What do you mean? You just cut me off.
No, I'm just saying.
Like what you mean?
It's a soft beat.
You just gotta make sure you
She take it all off.
No, she
take it all off.
She be like, I'm not getting on camera. They be like, put the camera on. No,
Tempress said not too
I
off.
took it up. It's after 8 o'clock. The wig is up and
But on.
But you know, the skin, you just put a little oil on your face.
No, like literally, like it's good to have that space where you could, even that we had a younger, it made me think about a question when we had little Kim on, and she said she enjoys it too when she go home and she get to just snatch everything off. And I think for us, that's where we find that we could be our best selves. And we still get the same amount of, for me, she's sitting here,
No, I was looking at
I just wish my hair was like super long so I didn't have to have a guild. Oh, I would love hair all the time. I don't want to snatch it off like that. I gotta still feel a little.
this is what I mean, right?
she don't mind.
See, of course I don't mind because I'm not. I do feel like, you know, there's a judgment in there when you have to always be like that.
Yes.
I feel as though you never really get the chance to be yourself, and if you are afraid of being yourself, then that speaks to you not really showing up as your authentic self.
Who are you when you get home?
Sometimes it's okay that if I'm not glammed up, I need you to see me like this because this is who I am. I don't always want to be that.
But some people think our non-glam is glam. Like,
Well,
Right.
you know,
Because I was gonna say,
I think when they
with a
try to
bonnet.
talk on the street, like sometimes they be like the one lady was like, "Oh, your makeup is so pretty, bitch. I don't have none on." What do you mean?
I'm totally. It's so funny, you know. I'm totally different, like from both. Like I actually love the pressure of getting dolled up.
Oh, wow.
I think that is what excites me about being such a lady. For me, I love heels. I love I would sit in the house on the computer playing the game, and I would have and I would have me some stripper heels walking around the house. My friends will laugh at me, and she's walking around. And when I'm in the gym, like I go to the gym and she's laughing, we're joking. I be like, take away my waist, take away my waist, take my waist away.
That's not how you say it. Take my waist. Take my waist.
Take my waist. Take my waist away. But I just love, like, I've always, ever since I was, I love when my mom would get dressed and go to the club with her girls. Like, I would just watch, like, yes, mom, get pretty. Like, I love that about everyone. I love it.
I did too.
Yes.
I'm always gonna love it. I'm always gonna, you know, very paid.
Them heels is starting to get you a little bit.
Well, no, I'm gonna be in Kitten Hill.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be in the Kitten.
Right.
I understand.
Listen, I think
Be in the Kitten.
you can never be underdressed or overeducated.
And you know what's so funny? When I was younger, I like a lot of my friends. You know, I grew up in the hood, and I would come. I remember I went to this reggae. I don't know if you ever heard. It's called like a hot box. We call the reggae parties like a hot box back in the day. And all my friends was in their jeans, sweatshirt. I came in there with a gown. And I literally was just like, wait, I think I overdid it. I felt overwhelmed, so I went back home and changed. But that's just me, who I am. I'm always the type of person. And at one point, I used to not like that. But if you invite me somewhere, just know I'm showing up.
But see, the girls back in the day, we had to
I don't
be
care.
style. So like there was a glamour, but it was like, bitch, I gotta blend in too. So we was giving white feet a jean and a pump. Yeah. Like, you know, give a little glow. We couldn't do like, bitch, now how to pay.
Well, the type of girls I hang around. The type of girls I hang around now, baby. They're always.
You can't tell the difference between.
Yeah. I was getting ready to say, now you can't. It's very difficult.
That's so bitch, y'all trying to erase us, bitch.
I'm from Miami.
They tried to get the lady out the bathroom. She was a whole cis woman. Like, you can't tell. Like,
I love that.
Wait. What are the signs? Asia, are you a Leo?
Yes.
Are you serious? Everything that you just said was very Leo, and I was just like, I'm gonna ask this. Okay, and Tabytha and Tempress, what
Well, y'all need to guess. If you guess mine, can you guess? Can I guess?
Oh, I'm not that good.
I'm not either.
I'm terrible.
But I'm surprised that I got Leo right. But I felt that in my
Tabytha's
spirit.
grounded, so maybe you're an earth sign.
Are you a Gemini?
No.
Okay, see, I don't want to play this game.
I'm not good at it. I'm really bad at it.
she's not a Gemini.
Whatever. I'm a fire sign. I'm an Aries.
Okay, fine. Oh.
Okay.
And I'm a water. I put it out. Cancer.
Okay.
This bitch, but I can make her boil.
That was cute. So, y'all want to go to the go board now?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and we're going to come back. You know, this is where it gets hot and spicy and stuff.
Look, okay. Do not take it personal. That's the Go Bowl. She loves everybody.
Sometimes she does.
This is Femme Queen, crazy, sexy, cool. And I need you all to like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to hit the bell button, because I'm going to be mad if you don't catch an episode. Mwah.
The go-bo, the go-bo. This bitch digging in the go-bo. The go-bo, the go-bo. This bitch digging in the go-bo.
You are now tuning into the Go Bowl, and you don't want to miss this. The shade starts now.
And we're back. It's about to get hot in here.
The Go Bowl.
We're going to do the go bowl a little different this time because there was a couple of questions that,
Yeah.
you know, a couple of people wanted to ask. And also, we didn't want to we wanted to
mix it up a little bit. Since we got another podcast here, what's up? Like, y'all can ask us questions too. We gonna go ahead.
We're gonna go with the go bowl first,
Okay.
and then we go, and then they can take the table, and it can be, you know.
Don't give us the
I have
table.
one question I want to ask them.
Let them do the go bowl first.
So I take something out the gold bowl.
Then we all
Go
have to
bowl.
answer.
That's Miss Mother.
Shake it up. Don't just pick the first one.
Shake her up.
Let me,
Put some Butch Queen energy in the bowl.
Oh, here we go.
okay, let me get it woo woo. Okay.
And everyone has to answer that
I was like,
question
and
on
what's the
there.
rules? We all gotta answer it, and if
Yeah,
all
we'll
three of
take
us
our
don't
time.
answer, everybody got it.
Okay. What advice would you give young black gay men that want to date and get married? Maybe we should start with Damon since he has the most direct experience with marriage.
Or dating as well.
I'll fill in for the dating part.
I would just say, don't date to get married. Like, don't date with a specific destination in mind. Like, just be
Okay.
present with the fucking person. I think that we put all this pressure on people to be like, all right, is it you? You're gonna be the one I spend the rest of my life with. We do all this. Like, that's how shit gets complicated and hard and exhausting. Where it's just like, this is person. Am I enjoying you? Am I not? Are we sharing? Are we not?
Well, my
Am I doing it wrong?
I've been doing it wrong.
Asia.
Literally. Oh my
I think when you're dating,
Be out there.
you need to be intentional. Go on those dates and have real conversations. Ask questions that you want answered, but it doesn't have to be an interrogation. You know, I'm HIV positive, right? So later on in my dating life, when I got comfortable about talking about that and disclosing it, on the second date, I was like, I'm positive.
Now
This
what?
is what comes with me. What I've experienced sometimes is the other person be like, I'm positive too. Oh, okay, great. Now that we got that out the way, we can talk about all those things too. But that's like a big example, but I just mean in general, people aren't dating and having real talk.
Yeah.
They're just dating
They go to nice restaurants,
to have the experience.
beautiful gas.
So if you want to get to marriage, you got to start with asking the right questions and really being intentional.
Yeah. Temperance, something that you mentioned earlier today is something that's speaking to me about, like, I struggle with this too, which is just like, how do I show up? And does it need to be perfect because I want the person who I'm interested in dating to be like, oh, Jordan's the right choice, right? And I think that it took a very long time for me to realize that it's probably not going to be a sustainable relationship for me if I cannot be, for lack of better words, ashy, like corny, not really funny, not really charismatic, not really all these things that I feel like are the selling points for me. So I think that for somebody who's just trying to get started with dating is like, find the person that actually lights up just because you're you, and not because you got the haircut and you got the outfit on and you have the right words and you're charming, and because that's not sustainable. You can't be perfect all the time. You can't be somebody's little doll. Sometimes you have to just be like, you know,
ashy.
Like, I don't want to be ashy.
So yeah, find
I
that.
hate being
I
ashy.
love the voice used to tell me, why you put all that makeup on? You look so much prettier when you start doing all that dress up. So I'm like, oh, he loves me like me.
He would literally just be like, why did you take your bonnet off? I can tell you took your bonnet off right before you answered the FaceTime. I'm just like, but why would I answer the phone with my bonnet on? He's just like, I actually don't care. I was just like, really? It was so weird to me that somebody would find imperfections.
And like, you look cute in your bonnet. And like, I do.
It's just like,
You grabbed the bonnet back.
That's love.
You too, I'm just like, you're
That's when
lying.
they love you.
I was like,
You know that's when they love you, though.
I was like, you just saying shit. You just trying to get something.
That's when they love you. That's that love. That's they love. You start paying the breath.
Do we do another one or do we?
Yes.
Tony picked them up. Okay.
We all each do
Hold
one.
on. Scoot it around. Scoot it. Close your eyes. Okay, no.
Did I grab two?
You grab two. You got to answer 2.
Three.
Well, I
grab
guess
two.
these are the ones.
Okay.
The first one is, what's your fetish?
Oh, that's fun.
I don't.
The go bow.
Because I don't think it's
But then
like, you know, there's on the freak scale, freak is like here and then not freak is here. And what I think is freaky or fetishes to other people, like, oh, they ain't shit. But I do like nice feet. Now, good feet, but it's not, I don't need it to get off, but it's something that I think is dope. And when they're pretty,
Let me see.
that's
Who's the funniest one? Go.
this one.
Okay, what's
The
the
mom.
fetish?
He said, "I'm bored." I like a bit of an audience. Like I like group sex. I like a party, like a sex party, not party and play. Like maybe specific. I don't want to start rumors. Right. But none of that. That's not what I like, and I'm not putting just. It's just not for me in this home. But now how you to move on to the next question?
I didn't move on.
Because you had a whole boring ass.
No. That is not got nothing to do with me, baby. Don't project.
This is what I want to see.
And you know what's funny? Saley pulled up this old fucking clip from last season I've forgotten about. Well, we asked a similar question on our show, and I was just like, I'm very intrigued or interested in like BDSM and like being bound and like that kind of thing as well.
I like that stuff too. I mean, I could be into that. I haven't. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm with the shit.
There's a ropes class.
Let's get into it.
In Chelsea that I want to go to.
Okay. Let's to practice and stuff.
It's like like they teach you how to properly do
I
it,
would
so
do
you
that.
so you don't end up on SVU
Be bound.
and then tie somebody up.
Be bound. Like, yeah.
I'd be so
Off the
nervous.
floor.
What's yours?
Oh.
You said most, and then
Mr. Libra.
That's the quiet free.
he goes, "I love making love." And look at people in their eyes.
He wants to give you that media training.
Exactly. Oh my God!
so
What
that's
did I
I have a real answer.
say? I just really like connection.
Well, yeah, that actually was going to be my answer. No, I'm kidding. So, how do I say this in a way that I want to be received?
Oh shit! I love that you can say that out loud.
So I really enjoy the fantasy of believing that my sexual partner can become pregnant from the sex.
Word, bitch.
And so do with that what you will.
Oh, I know.
I got it. I get it.
Shoot up the club. God damn it! Shoot up the club.
Oh, it's law. Boys law.
Well, I think y'all talk about
He
like
got-
pre-prep days and after. You know,
Oh, yeah.
So bitch.
Go ahead.
Well, this question, this is shaking the table.
More than the last one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Have any of you slept with each other?
Bitch, I can tell the way the eyes went down to the.
It's the T, baby, Butch Queen. Let me see if they are Butch
Where's
Queen.
the chocolate?
Let's get the tea.
Oh my
Is
God.
this my chocolate?
He's taking a shot. Oh, he took the actual drink. Oh, yeah, well, your drink.
No one participate.
One is out the box. We have two left.
If one person takes a shot, okay.
Take the shot.
Oh!
We in this together.
Because they said they don't want to give y'all the exclusive. Who is they? I don't know who they are.
He said, take that shot.
We'll never know.
He said, take that shot.
I guess
Give me that bowl.
So we just have to.
You ain't shake that bowl up right, Tony. We told y'all. What do they got out here?
Oh, another shot is being taken. Wait a minute.
Butch Queen is still gonna be a Butch Queen, baby. A Butch Queen is still gonna be a Butch Queen, no matter where they're from.
That was a key, honey.
Okay.
Butch Queens are Butch Queens.
All right, here we go. Cool. Each of you can ask us one question.
Oh. We can ask y'all a question?
Does it have to be a collective question?
No, you
or
pick
can
who
it
you want to
be-
ask the question. Each one of you can pick one person.
Okay. I'm gonna be messy. Who's the hardest to work with of the three?
Who you want to answer?
Who you want to answer?
I want Asia to answer.
That took you out.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna answer the question. No. You know what's funny? Tempress is the easiest to work with.
Thank you.
Tabitha's easy and hard at the same time. It's she's loving, but my sister can be, baby. She call you in the morning, you better answer that phone.
She's calling at like 7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock, and you have to answer the phone, or she's gonna text you be like, "I wasn't trying to bother you. I was just
Tabitha loves to call you on the phone.
early in the morning." She said early.
Call me on the main line. She has
for a
questions.
certain time, girl.
I went out the
Okay?
country.
I love you.
I went out
What
the
is
country.
going
She said, "I
on?
feel
Bitch, I'm
abandoned." But realistically,
They
like
gonna miss you when
neither
I'm
of them are hard. Honestly, for real, like, trust me, if it was hard, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's easy.
Let me see. What's something that can maybe force them to drink? Who has been your least favorite guest on the show?
When you asking, Lucy?
Ask you.
I'm gonna ask Tempress.
Ooh.
I would say.
I'm just gonna answer. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna answer because I don't want to drink a shot. So,
What was his name? He was so quiet.
I'll just take a shot. Because I don't want to be me, but it was. I'm gonna just say it was one of the. Never mind.
You won the mom.
They were just quiet as shit. I was like, okay.
He was quiet.
It's funny. Our show format is like 3 questions. It's the whole show, and we had a guest on it. Like we asked the question, we're like, I don't have anything for that one. We were like, it's only 3 fucking questions.
Yeah.
I'm just like you just
1/3 of the
passed.
episode
You just
was
passed up
this.
on 33% of being on our show.
Oh no.
Oh, well, y'all have 3 questions for the whole
All right.
episode?
Sometimes 4 if we're feeling frisky.
Y'all might like these bitches is carrying over here.
This is fun.
We go
For
deep.
every
We go.
moment. I'm looking for every moment.
Any question? Any more? Other more questions?
Let's see.
Not you taking.
You gotta take a sip of the prosecco.
I mean, I have a question, but it's
Yeah, you go ahead.
what's been the most surprising thing in a maybe a bad way about the reception of your podcast to within the community? Like, what have you been like disappointed about the girls as they received y'all?
I think, if I'm being honest, one of the things that I'm learning not to do is read the comments.
Yeah.
I think that people can see us through a lens and assume they know us in a way because of how we speak, and that brings judgment, and not thinking that the fact that we're human and we just may go and read the comment. But I'm getting better at that because of them.
Because she
You know
used
what
to
I'm
be
saying?
replying to
'Cause
everything.
I would reply.
This
I'm
mother
like,
attack.
Jessica, stop.
But not even that. I'd rather reply to you than to delete it, because then it feels like I'm not
Yeah,
addressing you. You know, they would delete it, but for
I
me,
don't
I've gotten better
I'm
at
delete.
that. I got better at that because, like, they may see us over talking each other and bickering and beef, but this was not what we didn't want. Something that was uniform. We needed us to be able to have an organic conversation and to share our conversation with you. So when community doesn't support it in the way that it's supposed to, and people have reserve about, well, let me wait and see till it gets bigger, it's already getting bigger. What are you waiting for? So
See?
when that happens, I'm like, either you are part of us or you're not. You know, support looks very different. It costs you nothing to subscribe, even if you watch one video. You know, showing us that you value us than just valuing us. It's by making sure that you checking and you hitting subscribe button and you talking to other people about who we are and what we're doing. So that's the disappointment. Like they rather judge than to support. So I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you watched the show. You've done a couple of projects with us. Which one of you is Tempress, Asia, and Tabytha, and why?
I'm Tempress.
Why though?
Why?
What's understood doesn't need to be explained.
I'm Asia.
I think Tempress. I don't know. Maybe I'll let someone else answer why.
No, but yeah, I was going to say maybe
from the three of us.
Maybe each one of you answer that question and tell me why you would think you're Tempress or why you would think you're Asia.
Does that make you sad?
Probably.
Holding this shit together.
Yeah.
No, I think that there are people that are always gonna show up. You call them. I'd be like, Tab called me on the main line at 7 a.m. She has questions, and like when it's our shit, I'm that person where it's just like, how's it gonna happen? Demond knows the answer. In like the dynamic of like this thing, and I would say, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I think Asia. I think it's no secret. Well, I was just like, you're obviously a Leo. I'm a Leo moon, and so that's why I could like sense it.
You can sense it.
Like I can tell that we both really prioritize like presenting ourselves in a certain way, and I feel like there's a reserved energy to it. Like I feel like even when we've been on set together, I'm just like, oh, Asia's not really talkative to people who she doesn't have a relationship with. And I'm the same way. Like I can be social, but more often than not, if you put me in a room where I have Demond and Tony, I'll probably only talk to Demond and Tony and let everybody else do what everybody else is doing because this is my safe space, this is my comfort space. And then also just you, even talking in this episode, just talking about like how you put a lot of pressure on yourself to like really strive and be seen as somebody who's really like putting in the effort to be recognized as the best. I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to like, for other people to recognize like what I can contribute. And so, I don't know, I don't typically ask people for their zodiac signs, but, and I was actually very gagged that it was correct, but I don't know.
Spot on.
Am I rising as Capricorn? You a Capricorn?
I'm a Capricorn.
Am I rising?
Yeah, and I get that energy. You have my favorite color on. I call it oxblood. But, you know, Tempress was over here in the moderator's seat, giving very much Whoopi Goldberg. I was living for that energy. You know, Tempress also, I think that when the conversation earlier was happening and you were talking about being an overall mother to Asia, and when she said what she said, and you were like, well, how's that working out? Because you just accepted this position. You know, asking the questions, getting down to brass tacks. We're not doing small talk. We're not doing the small talk.
That's mother asks them questions. She goes in.
That's why even with the dating, I'd be like, okay, y'all, now what's next? Ask me, so let's talk.
Yeah, so I got a lot of, and then, you know, the theater of it all. We still give a little drama. We live. But I automatically, that's why I was so quick with my response, because when you are around people and you engage, you get a quick read sometimes on folks. But what I do know is that all three of you, we hold dear in our hearts. It's just like, I don't know, it's an energy that is palpable and it's not forced. It's not, we're not sitting here trying to make a conversation happen. We're sitting here like, we were our sisters.
Thank you.
Oh,
yes, thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
This has been great.
Right, well, what is it that's crazy, sexy, cool?
Wait,
First of all, we never stuck to the, that's just the name.
No.
They always do that.
She's
They try to make
crazy.
it like
She's literally
this.
crazy.
I'm
She's
crazy.
crazy. It's okay. It's okay. It's
I'm
okay.
gonna start saying fetishes.
Why she wanna say?
I'm all of it.
Sometimes.
I'm cool. I would say I'm
This is
cool.
the James
I would say I'm
thing.
cool.
Somebody call me they in
You're a
the
little
comments and
crazy.
think I'm the
Yeah, you're
sexy
a
one.
crazy.
But I got the man. I'm the one that went on a date off of there, so.
You took it and it didn't work out.
Has the podcast given
work
like
out.
any new attention when it comes to the men?
I went on a couple of dates.
Yeah.
I went on a date and then, you know, a couple guys circled blocks. I had to X them out the chest.
Okay.
But, yeah,
Still single.
definitely.
And you?
I know I've never dated nobody in the comments.
Well, he wasn't in the comments. Oh my gosh. That sounded so bad. I never dated no one in the fucking comments. I never.
I need to go to y'all comments. They sound more exciting than ours.
Let me
It's just a bunch of Bush Queens fighting in our comments.
I never dated no one in the comments, though.
Okay. Well, is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about before we close out that we may have missed or something? Or just...
Anything coming up for you?
Anything coming up?
We are actually on a break right now. When is this coming?
When is the next season coming?
When it comes. But usually, no, when it comes. That's what it's giving right now. But usually we are spring, summer, fall, winter.
Yeah.
And it does give that because...
I would say the biggest thing that we probably just did that people can engage with, because I assume will come out in the coming weeks. We just did a live show, which was really exciting.
That's not the live show that y'all put out?
Yeah, it just so the first piece of
I've been
it.
begging for us to do that.
Yeah, so
That would be
the first that would be fun. The first piece of it came out this week. The next piece comes out first week of March. So whenever this comes out, with features Patrick Ian Polk, creator of Noah's Ark and The Skinny and all these things. And it's just something that we're really proud of. And it's really about secrecy. I forget the other word. Pleasure.
HIV.
Is that HIV? Okay. HIV and just like the age of PrEP and how we as queer people show up in healthcare, how we talk about it to each other, like how things have changed. There's an intergenerational aspect of it with us and Patrick that we think is just really cool. And we'd love for people to experience it. So that's, I would say. And then our season we just wrapped, Girl Grow Up, was our 10th season.
Yes, congratulations. And y'all are nominated.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Outstanding
It was
podcast.
Yeah,
It was honestly a gag because I think we were one of 2 independent podcasts. Like we ain't signed to a label yet, but we are looking for a label.
It's time. Why not?
Run 'em up.
We see that for us. We see that for y'all. We see it for a lot of people in this space that are doing it. I see in my like pie in the sky is like all of us podcast creators at a thing together at some point. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You gotta
Like
speak that.
For us was one of the really incredible things about the Pride campaign we did together last year. Like that kind of grew out of
That was so
one
beautiful.
day we were having a conversation about something that we didn't get acknowledged, and I was just like, what if we just pulled all the people together our fucking selves?
Yeah.
And to like do it with the intersection of Black, queer, gay, trans, lesbian, like this mix of people, and for it to in that moment be about like capturing the moment, but like a lot of the people that did it are still in communication, have done crossovers, like we're sitting here with y'all today, and like it's just been when we talk, like for us it comes back to like community and the things that we can control and the rooms that we can control, and for us we just want to keep doing more shit like that where we can bring different aspects and facets of our community together and utilize whatever we've built to amplify whomever we can.
So thank y'all for inviting us.
Yes, we had to. We had to.
That experience was amazing.
Yeah, she rolled out the red carpet
This
for
has
us.
definitely been another amazing episode of Femme Queen.
We should let them do it.
Ooh,
Let them do it today.
Bush Queen.
This is another episode of Bush Queen.
Crazy,
Sexy, cool.
Oh no, you're crazy.
I'm not crazy.
You said
See how they try to do you?
no.
You see how they
No,
trying?
you're sexy. Stand in it.
So thank you,
Stay
everybody,
character.
for tuning into another episode of Femme Queen, Crazy,
Sexy.
Cool. We'll see you next week.
Featuring Bush
Deuces.
Queen.